All right, today we're making my grain-free chocolate heart cookies for Valentine's. Maybe you've had a New Year's resolution of eating healthier, and then here comes Valentine's right around the corner. Well, make these instead, and you won't go too far off of your plans. Into the food processor, go 12 pitted medjool dates. Just take off the little top, rip them in half, discard the pit. 12 of these are going into the food processor. These are best to find at Trader Joe's. They're in the produce section and they are the cheapest compared to the other stores that carry them. In with the dates is a half a cup of almond flour or meal. Also into the food processor, a quarter cup of cocoa powder. We're also going to add a half a cup of unsweetened coconut flakes, shredded coconut. The last thing I add before we're going to start the food processor is a teaspoon of pure vanilla extract. So that goes in the food processor, and then we're going to turn it on until the mixture becomes like a sand, which this part would be great for any of those kids activities where you have like you need a dirt with gummy worms or something. This would be a healthy alternative. This is the sandy texture that we're looking for. The next thing we're going to do is add a quarter cup of dark chocolate chips. I like using the Organics dark chocolate chips because there's no bioengineered ingredients in there. They use cane sugar instead of regular sugar, which we know is bioengineered with an herbicide. And also, it doesn't have dairy, and it's the cheaper of all of the vegan chocolate chips out there. Quarter cup chocolate chips go into the food processor. The last thing we're gonna add is a tablespoon of coconut oil, but it needs to be melted. So in the colder months, the coconut oil is pretty solid. It solidifies when it cools. So what you could do a couple of things. You could scoop out as much as you need and melt it on the stove, or you could boil some water, turn off the heat, and remove the lid and add the jar in there, and then it would melt through the jar. But you don't want to have the stove on because the glass may break. I generally like to do the hot water bath so I don't have to clean oil out of a pot. I have a tablespoon of melted coconut oil that's going into the food processor. That's all that goes in there. Now what you're going to do is turn on the food processor until it becomes a dough. I've been running this for about a minute. It's not quite there yet. It's ready now. It all came together on one side of the food processor into a ball, so that's indicating the dough is ready to be rolled. But we're not going to use a rolling pin. We're just going to smush it down with our hands and get your favorite cookie cutter shape. Of course, because of Valentine's Day, I will be using hearts. You're going to need a surface to work on. It doesn't need to be floured with any sort of thing. I'm going to preheat my oven to 350 degrees. So I'm just going to take some of this dough, put it on here and smush it down with my hands. It's not gonna stick. You're gonna wanna make them about a 1/4 inch thick. And you're gonna start making shapes. This is fun to do with your kids. And if they don't pick up very easily from the board, I would recommend using a spatula. You can just slide it over, it comes right up. Now I'm going to continue to do this with the rest of the dough. And then I'm going to put them on a Silpat. So I have a cookie sheet with a Silpat ready for me to go. The cookies are going to go on here. They don't need to be spaced apart. So you're going to load them up. You should get about 20 cookies. I got 21 here, ready to go in the oven for 6 minutes. So I'm going to take this time to clean up and get ready for the next step. These are perfectly good as they are, but I'm going to take it a step further and dip them in chocolate mint. So just put your cookies aside to cool so that you can handle them, and you're going to create a double boiler, which would be a small pot. You're going to add with half of it with water. Maybe a 1/3 full of water. And then you're going to turn that up to a boil. And then you're going to need a glass bowl that is larger than the pot. Probably the bigger the better, just so you have more room to not feel the steam coming through. So you're going to put the pot of water onto the stove until the water is boiling. You're going to turn it down to a simmer, and you're going to put the glass bowl on top. And you're going to put some dark chocolate chips in here. We're going to put a half a cup of dark chocolate chips in the glass bowl. And you're going to use a spatula to mix them around until they're all melted. My larger glass bowl was occupied with this herbal coffee. I'm really into brewing herbal coffee, so I made a whole bunch and it was cooling so that I can make some iced herbal coffee with my creamer. If you didn't catch that coconut creamer video, you gotta check it out. It's amazing and it's gonna go great with these cookies. Okay, the glass bowl is hot. We got our chocolate chips melted down. The next step is to add in a 1/4 teaspoon of peppermint extract. I got the mint extract mixed in, and then you kind of want to spoon it into the center so you have all your melted goodness right there. It smells amazing. And we're going to take a cookie and dip it. So you're going to want to keep your tray with the Silpat nearby, because after you dip it, you're going to want to return it back to the tray. Or if you'd like to evenly coat them, you can spread it around with your spatula. We did good. I used up all of the chocolate. Now I'm going to pour the hot water from the pot into the bowl so I can clean that later. I got my cookies dipped in the mint chocolate. So now the hard part is waiting for them to harden. I'm going to put them in the freezer to work faster. While I'm waiting for the cookies, I made myself an iced latte. No coffee and no cream. Cheers. Delicious. I usually make that coconut creamer with a full can of coconut milk, so you can double it. It's been about 10 minutes with my cookies in the freezer. I think they're probably ready to be removed. Oh boy, look at that. It may remind you of a Girl Scout Thin Mint cookie, but no bioengineered ingredients here. Gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free, mostly sugar-free, sweetened with a whole plant.